Hello, Guardians. It is Ebontis. It is April 15th. Hopefully, you got your taxes done here in the States. Xur is in the tower up in the northeast corner of the map up here in the hangar. So let's see what he's got. All right, Guardians. So Xur's exotic armor rolls are a little glitched right now. What you see up here with the 61, the 57, and the 59 is not what you get when you buy it. What I did on another character is I bought each of these. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to scroll through Ophidia Spathe that's showing 61, but if you buy it, and I bought it on 2 different characters to be sure, this one actually goes up to a 64 with an even better distribution. So the Ophidia Spathe is very worth buying. Hopefully you can see the other one on screen, so I'll kind of highlight that that's the correct one. When you go to the ACD0 feedback fence, I'm going to switch over on this character. It goes from a 57 to a 60. Not amazing, but again, you got 13 in recovery, 11 in resilience, some intellect, some strength. Not a bad roll. If you don't have it, a 60 with decent resilience and recovery for a Titan, not a bad roll. If you've never experienced this one and you want to toy around with it, I've seen much worse. Finally, when we get to the Helm, Skull of Dire Ahamkar, this one's showing a 59. It also turns into a 60. It will have 14 in recovery, a little high in resilience, but you've got 12 in intellect, 13 in strength, a little low in the discipline category. But again, if you've never experienced these, they're not as bad as they could be when it comes to the stat rolls. But I would say for sure, Ophidia Spathe with Solar 3.0 coming around, I would really recommend picking this thing up as a 64 pretty well distributed chest. For hunters, make sure and pick this thing up. Now I'm going to go through what each of these do. So first, you've got the Ophidia Spathe. This is going to be 2 knives per charge. Basically, once your melee energy recharges, it will instantly have 2 charges that you can throw for throwing knives. So if you like your knives as a solar hunter, then this is a good one. When Solar 3.0 comes around, I don't know what they're going to do with throwing knives, but this is probably a good one to own. Whether it's a 61 like this, or maybe it turns into the 64 for everybody, that's definitely one of a good option to have, especially if you don't have it. This is a reasonable roll for sure. For the Titans, the ACD0 feedback fence, you've got melee hits store explosive defensive energy, and then being struck by a melee attack reduces incoming damage and unleashes the energy in a devastating explosion. So these were pretty potent before by getting melee hits, building energy, and then if you get struck, you're going to release that energy, which, you know, for a Titan, we do kind of punch a lot. So it's actually not a bad one. I think they toned these down. These were a little busted for the chaining, and they're a little broken in PvP, so I think they're reasonable now, but not a bad one if you like to get in melee range quite a bit. For the Warlocks, you've got the Nova Bomb granting super energy, and it's usually on kills. So this has got a decent intellect roll, I think either way you do it. Basically, when you get a Nova Bomb kill, you get some energy back. If you get enough Nova Bomb kills, you can get up to 50% energy back. So all of them are decent. I don't know if any of these are like God tier, more PvE kind of specific uses. This one for sure, though, if Solar 3.0, whenever that comes around, this is one you'll want to own and probably toy around with as a hunter for sure. The weapon is going to be the Queenbreaker. This thing just needs a buff. It either needs in the special slot, it needs a buff. I don't really know anymore. Fires a long-range precision arc bolt that blinds enemies. So it's cool that it blinds enemies on hit. That's not a bad thing. Linear fusion rifles aren't really, like, you know, amazing right now, but blinding something, not a bad option. You've got fitted stock. You've either got hipfire grip, or quick draw. You've got enhanced battery. And then you've got 2 scopes, which you can switch between. Long-range sights with slower charge time and greater damage, displays ammo and charge levels. Low-zoom sights with faster charge time and handling, displays ability energy. So if you don't own this thing, it's not a bad linear fusion rifle. It's just for the heavy slot, it doesn't seem to really be worth it. The blinding is kind of cool, but it is very situational and unique. But if you don't have it and you want all your collection, make sure you buy this thing just to get them all. Quick run through for the exotics. We've got Hawkmoon, which is going to have quick draw on it. You're going to have small bore, range and stability. Alloy mag's always there, quick draw, and then combat grip for greatly controlled recoil. If you like quick draw, switching, anything like that nature with this weapon, that's kind of a nice one. I always like small bore for the range and stability. So might not be God tier with quick draw, but if you like that style of play, that's for you. We do have a Vorpal Dead Man's Tale, though. And Vorpal, when it comes to scouts and champions, and what we've got right now, barriers, this is a really good combination with ricochet rounds, fluted barrel, and then you've also got composite stock for stability and handling. This might be nearly God tier. If you don't have a Dead Man's Tale and you've been wondering, is it worth buying? This is one of those rare moments that I would say Vorpal and maybe 4th times the charm are the 2 that I would go for. This is definitely one of them. So if you do not have a Vorpal Dead Man's Tale, I might suggest dropping the currencies involved in this thing and picking this one up. Dead Man's Tale with Vorpal is one of those you want to have. So if you don't, might be putting in some work this weekend if you're trying to get that exotic cipher. Now, for the legendary weapons, we've got quite a few to discuss. So, first one I was going to tell you guys, Last Perdition. I know I've told many of you guys that certain weapon archetypes right now are hard to come by. If you need a Void Pulse Rifle, for example, there's not a ton of them. So, I would recommend Last Perdition mostly just for that. If you don't have a Void Pulse Rifle, pick this one up. Zen Moment Moving Target, not a bad thing for PvP, but again, probably not like the best option ever. But if you don't have a Void Pulse Rifle, you're somewhat newer, I would add this to your vault, if nothing else, to have that archetype covered, just so you're good to go. Killing Winded Wellspring, not exactly anything I'm really too excited about for the Friction Fire. Same thing, Threat Detector and Demolitionist for Wolf Tone, not really anything great. This grenade launcher, if you do not have a blinding grenade launcher, buy it. Blinding grenade launchers for high-level content are very, very good to manage difficult ads. So you've got Concussion or Blinding. You've got Feeding Frenzy, so if you kill things, you get that reload much, much quicker. And if you do manage to get a melee and then shoot this thing out, you got Swashbuckler. So I have definitely seen much, much worse pairings here, but Feeding Frenzy alone and Blinding Grenades to have an option. If you don't have a Blinding Grenade Launcher, make sure you buy this. A must-own perk on a grenade launcher. Very, very good. And you got handling on here. So you've got solid handling to work with on this one. You can even, who cares about stability? Better velocity, better handling. A good one for sure. And then even, throw some like quick weapon swap on there. Very good one to own. Please make sure if you don't have blinding, check your vault, buy this one. For the Fractithist, you've got Slide Shot and Harmony. You've got Assault Mag, you've got Small Bore or Corkscrew Rifling. Somebody could probably tell me if this is amazing. Slide Shot's not bad, because you slide, you get a booster range and stability. You've got Faster Firing. I would not put this on because you are giving up range. Corkscrew Rifling, you're just getting a little bit of handling. Range and stability I would take, and you can get your handling here. And honestly, with Harmony, if you get a kill with something else and switch over, then you might be able to get some pretty powerful shotgun shots. Not a bad one. Probably not a god tier, but it's decent. If you don't have an arc rocket launcher with tracking, this is not a bad one because you've got impact casing, which is only 2%, but you got alloy casing. Great for reload speeds. Nobody cares about stability on a rocket launcher. And then you got volatile launch or linear compensator. Good handling on a rocket launcher is nice. This is a little lower in the handling category. Kill clip's probably not going to do you too much, but if you want a tracking rocket launcher and you don't have one, it's nice to throw it in the vault if you need an arc tracking rocket launcher and you don't have one. So that's why that one's good. For pulse rifles, one for all. A nice damage perk, honestly. If you don't have one, rangefinder, not a bad way to get some nice accuracy out of this one. You've got high caliber rounds. One for all, you're probably not going to proc so much in PvP, where rangefinder and all the range would probably feel a little bit better. But one for all in PvE sake, not bad. So again, if you don't own like an arc pulse rifle, this is a good one to pick up. Kind of well-rounded, not going to be epic, but for one for all for PvE purposes, not bad. And still gets that arc pulse rifle archetype covered. For your armor, if the stats stick, which I did buy this one, and I think it was exactly the same, so maybe the legendaries just show what they are. 65. If you don't have a 65 pair of boots, this is not bad. A little bit of like double digits in mobility, resilience, recovery, intellect, and some strength as a Titan. We're pretty much good to go there. 63 here. If you like mobility, that's up to you. A little low for me, though, for kind of the distribution. Resilience is what I would want a little bit higher. If mobility stat was where resilience was, for a Titan, this would be good, because barricades seem to have a little more importance now. Class item doesn't matter. A 48, this is just like a trash glitch, not really worth anything. 64, if you need some spikes in mobility, recovery, and intellect, this is a pretty good one. If you definitely are into a super build, 26 is a lot. So now let's check the other classes' legendary armors, and we'll wrap it up. For the Warlocks, you got a couple pieces worthwhile. Your gloves, you've got 63. If you like mobility on a Warlock, that feels a little high for me because the recovery is not even in double digits yet. Intellect and strength, this is probably more spiky distributions for a certain build. Not bad to have spikes in some armor builds, but again, not really one that I think is god tier distribution personally. For the helm, you've got 64. High in resilience again for me personally. Like to see like recovery a little bit higher for sure. High in strength again as well. You got 59 here, not worth it, and 48 in the chest, also not worth it. For the Hunters, you also have a couple reasonable items. Again, resilience is a little high for me on this one, but a 62 is not terrible. I'd love to see better mobility and better recovery, so this is okay. 62 is not, awful, and if you're brand new, this is, not a horrible piece of armor to pick up to start getting better stats. But again, low mobility, low recovery, not really making this thing amazing. Again, 48, I think the chests are just like busted this week. You got a 56 over here, not worth anything with those stat distributions. High mobility, but still no. 62, very well rounded. Basically, you did get finally double digits in mobility and recovery, pretty even and high strength. So if that's your thing for a helmet, that 62 is not nearly as bad as this one. The resilience is kind of wasted here for a hunter mostly, but here you've got a nice even distribution as well. And that pretty much wraps this thing up. So if you guys enjoyed the video, please drop a like below. Obviously, I bought all the exotics to hopefully help you guys out with the proper stat rolls that you're going to be getting. As for everything else, if you guys enjoyed the podcast last night, thank you guys for being in chat. If you haven't seen this one, check it out on the channel. If you guys want to, if I didn't mention something that I should have shouted out, please throw that in the comments below. If you want to find me on Twitter or Twitch, it's Ebontis. Right here on YouTube, if you haven't subscribed, hit that subscribe button, hit that alert bell. It's a nice way to support the channel for nothing. And those of you who have become YouTube members or Patreons, thank you for that extra level of support. But all of you are amazing. Enjoy your weekend, and I'll see you soon.